Recently, I made a video on why Tamil cinema, for its size, has been struggling to get that pan-India success. And at the end of that, I said maybe Kanguva, this latest Suriya film, will change the fate because they were doing everything right to get to that pan-India hit, from the scale to the visuals to the marketing. But at the end of the day, what matters is the content. And after having seen it, can I say the same? Let's talk about it. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and today talking about the pan-India Tamil film Kanguva by Siva. Now this film made a promise to us through the trailer footage, through the interviews, that it's a passion project, that they will take us to a new world, that they want to push the boundaries of Tamil cinema and Indian cinema, that they want to take this to the world, something never seen before. A promise similar to a pan-India Telugu film this year, Devara. So did Kanguva deliver on all of their promises, or will we have to wait for another reincarnation for it? Now the answer is a yes and a no. You see the attempt at what they were trying and you appreciate them for it, but it's very obvious that they were not fully committed to the idea. After watching the film, you could sense the self-doubt, the trust issues, that they couldn't commit to it, and thus they fall back to the typical formula, the cliches. They add that typical dated storytelling, like a padding for this experiment. What if we fail? It's like their ambition was to participate in the motorbike racing, but they were scared of falling, so they added training wheels to their bike, and that visual doesn't look good. Now the first 30 odd minutes of this film, I felt cheated. I was taken aback with what I was looking at. Why is Disha Patani in a bikini running on a beach in slow motion? Not many will complain, but what's the point? There's not just one comedy relief character from Tamil cinema, but two of them. And I clearly didn't sign up for this. Where's that medieval period drama? That tribal warfare? That fierce warrior that Suriya is supposed to play? Why is he performing like a cartoon? Is this the cinema you want to take to the world? And finally, after that, we really get into the meat of the plot, what we were really promised in all of its glory. But because of this start, even that part gets hindered. And that kept me wondering, why are we wasting our time with this? Why we are not getting into the plot directly? Why we are not focused? Why this whole modern present era? And I think I got an answer to that. It's the Bahubali effect. Now the good part is that it inspired many to tell big scale stories. But the bad part is that it's being followed like a formula. That to tell this big story, it has to be in two parts only, not one part. Doesn't matter it's required or not. And it's also a practical solution. Have you noticed all the recent pan-India projects are all coming with two parts? All of them end with a cliffhanger for part 2. Why is that? Because the amount of money involved, the big star it's mounted on, the time it takes to make such films. So for all this investment to make sense, you need to make two parts. The first part is all about the setup, showing the idea of the story and ending with a cliffhanger, hoping that you'll recover your money and then people will wait for part 2. And just like in the case of Bahubali and KGF, part 1 will play like an advertisement for part 2 and it will become an instant blockbuster. But they forget that part 1 also has to be satisfying so that people want to watch part 2. Now with Kanguva, we have a story of 5 tribal islands in the 10th century. There's so much to explore. It is such a fascinating idea. But instead of doing that, you're force-fitting reincarnation in this present time and this sci-fi angle so that you can make a part 2. And there's a total contrast in the quality of both the timeline. The past has an aesthetic value to it. The production design, the sets, the costumes, the set pieces, so many people, the way it's captured. You feel immersed into this world. Versus the present, which is executed like a TikTok or an Instagram reel. It is super saturated. The sets look like plastic. They literally just don't reference but play out popular memes on screen. The action throughout the film is very average. At a lot of places it keeps on going for too long. It becomes very unclear what's really happening, very hard to follow. It's still refreshing in the past timeline, but in the present it's not good at all. There's one action sequence in the snow. I really like the execution of it. VFX is all over the place, ranging from good to really not good. And the problem with the screenplay is it's like a checklist. It's trying to be a big scale film, which means there are many set pieces and you're just jumping from one to the other. There's no clear flow or drama to lead from one to the other. The plot is just too basic and it's just rushed. You don't spend time with the characters, and the characters don't really have characteristics. They are just what they say through the dialogues. That's it. Nothing more to them. There's a lot of screaming and shouting, which I'd actually called from the trailers and the teaser itself. The core emotion of the film fails to work, which is connecting both the timelines. You never feel invested in it because it's dealt very superficially. And there are so many issues in the film that tells you that this film didn't have a single core idea. It started as a big project and all of these things were added together, mixed together to make it have that big scale. And I say that because I don't really see a single core in the film on which the film is relying on. If it was there, it was lost in all the bigness. Now credit where it's due. Unlike other films, the way this film sets up part 2 is very well done. By the end, it doesn't feel like the story is incomplete. You in a way finish the arc and now we continue ahead. And it also leaves you at very interesting point, because looking at it, the genre of the second film changes altogether. It's not gonna be the same thing like a Bahubali or a KGF. From a period drama, it becomes a science fiction. Now Suriya gave his 110% to this film, to both the good and the bad. He has some really good moments as well as some really bad moments as an actor. He brings his charm, his command, his screen presence. You cannot look away. He holds your attention. But he cannot do much when the writing is limited. But unlike him, the makers didn't give 110%. They didn't stick to the idea. They lost the focus. They got distracted. But kudos for the attempt. They tried so many things and they were successful at many. At least the way they showed the tribal region, their different practices, how they live. You could see they invested their time and efforts into building this world, but they didn't fully utilize it. And that's why there's a lot to appreciate in the film, but it doesn't give you anything to celebrate. Now, I don't know about the future of this film, but I do know about the past of Tamil cinema doing pan-Indian films and why it's not working out well. Check out this video, the reasons behind it. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did the film work for you or it didn't? Was there any scene that stood out? Let me know all in the comments below and I will see you next time.